Picture this. It's a scorcher outside. You walk through your door craving that blast of icy air, but instead, well, nothing. The AC's humming, maybe even roaring, but that sticky heat just hangs around.
The worst feeling.
Right. So today on the deep dive, we're getting into something really core to why your AC might be failing you, and that's refrigerant.
Exactly. We're taking a closer look at refrigerant, the stuff that actually does the cooling, what happens when the level's off, and specifically how a company like Hartzell's Heat and Air approaches figuring out what's really going on.
Okay.
And our insights today, they're coming from Hartzell's own info, plus some, practical advice from HVAC pros you might see online, like Smile HVAC and Bonnie Plumbing, and just the general facts about refrigerant and leaks.
Okay, so our mission here is pretty straightforward. Help you get a better handle on AC refrigerant, spot potential trouble signs, and understand why usually you really need a pro for this.
Makes sense.
All right, let's get down to basics then. What is this stuff, refrigerant, and why is it so critical for, keeping us cool?
Okay, so think of refrigerant as like the magic ingredient. It's the fluid that circulates inside your AC in a closed loop. Its whole job is to absorb heat from inside your house and then dump it outside.
Like a heat sponge.
Yeah, kind of like that. And it does this using a few key parts. There's the compressor that pressurizes the refrigerant, makes it hot. Then the condenser, usually outside, where it releases that heat and turns back to liquid.
Okay.
Then inside, you have the evaporator coil. That's where it absorbs your house's heat, turns back into a gas, and gets cold. That's the cooling effect. And an expansion valve controls the flow between the hot and cold sides.
So it's this constant cycle, changing from gas to liquid and back, pulling heat out.
Exactly. And the whole system is designed to work with a very specific amount of this refrigerant.
Right, like having the right amount of oil in your car. Too much or too little is bad.
Precisely. We call it the refrigerant charge. Getting that charge exactly right is fundamental. If it's low, the system just can't move heat efficiently. Simple as that, which leads to problems.
And that brings us to Hartzell's approach, which is interesting. You mentioned they ask new customers about the system's refrigerant history if it seems low. Why start there?
Well, it's about figuring out if there's likely an underlying issue like a leak. As the folks at Bonnie Plumbing often say, AC systems are sealed. They shouldn't lose refrigerant.
So they don't use up refrigerant like gas in a car?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So if someone's been a customer for years and suddenly needs refrigerant, maybe a leak just developed.
Yeah.
But for a new customer where Hartzell's doesn't know the history, well, a leak becomes a prime suspect right away.
That makes total sense. If it's supposed to be sealed and it's low, the big question is where did it go? Leak seems like the obvious answer.
Exactly.
So what are some of those telltale signs, the red flags that you might notice at home that could point to a refrigerant leak?
Okay, there are several clues. A big one, something Smile HVAC mentioned, is if your AC worked great last summer, but this year, not so much. It just isn't cooling properly.
Or maybe it seems to run all the time. Hartzell's mentioned that too. Like it never reaches the temperature you set.
Yes, that's a classic sign. Or, as Bonnie Plumbing points out, your house feels kind of warm and clammy, humid, even when the AC's on.
Not comfortable.
And they also mention the outdoor unit running constantly. That could be another sign. Also, check your energy bills.
Ah, the bills.
Yeah, if they've spiked compared to last year, but you're using the AC about the same, that's a big indicator this system is struggling, working way harder, possibly because of low refrigerant.
Hartzell's mentioned that too, and also weak airflow from the vents.
Right, weak airflow is another one. And sometimes you might even see ice building up on the pipes or the coils, either inside or outside. That's another classic symptom of low refrigerant messing up the pressure and temperature balance.
Wow. And it doesn't take much loss to cause issues, does it? I think Josh Tyke from Bonnie Plumbing said even losing 6 ounces can hit efficiency.
It's true. These systems are really precisely balanced, which ties back to how Hartzell's handles it with new customers. They say if a system is like 1 to 3 pounds low, well, it could be a few things.
What kind of thing?
Maybe a really slow leak that's taken years, or maybe, just maybe, it was slightly undercharged way back when it was installed, though good techs try hard to avoid that. So a small amount low doesn't automatically scream major leak.
Okay, but they have a threshold, right?
Yes. Their guideline is if they find a new customer system is 3 pounds low, or even more, that's a much stronger signal.
And what do they recommend then?
At that point, they generally advise it's time for a system pressure test. Basically, a specific test to actually find the leak. This fits with what Smile HVAC talks about, pros using special gauges to check pressures and confirm the refrigerant level is definitely low before jumping to conclusions.
So that 3 pound mark for a new customer is kind of the trigger point for, okay, let's find out where this is escaping, not just keep topping it up.
Exactly. Because just adding more refrigerant doesn't fix the leak. And the problems go beyond just not being cool enough.
Right. Reduced cooling power is obvious, but what else?
Well, like we touched on with the energy bills, the system works much harder. That means higher electricity consumption.
So it hits your wallet directly.
Definitely. And that extra strain isn't good for the AC unit itself. It can wear out components faster, potentially shortening the whole system's lifespan. You might end up needing major repairs or even a full replacement sooner than you should have.
Ouch. That sounds expensive. And isn't there an environmental side to this too? Leaking refrigerant isn't great, is it?
No, it's not. That's an important point. Older refrigerants, thankfully being phased out, were bad for the ozone layer. Even the newer ones, while better for the ozone, are often potent greenhouse gases. So letting them leak into the atmosphere contributes to climate change. Another reason to fix leaks properly.
Okay, so finding and fixing these leaks definitely sounds like a job for the pros, not something you should try tackling yourself on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, absolutely not. As Smile HVAC and other sources emphasize, you need special training, license handling procedures, and specific tools like those gauges and leak detectors. Plus, safely recovering and adding refrigerant is regulated.
Right.
Companies like Hartzell's Heat and Air, they have technicians who are trained and certified for this. You mentioned Hartzell's has been around over 30 years in central Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That kind of experience counts. And they offer a 6-month labor guarantee, which gives some peace of mind.
So calling a pro ensures it's done right, safely, and legally. Okay, so besides fixing leaks when they happen, is there anything we can do proactively, like prevention?
Yes, absolutely. Preventative maintenance is key. Hartzell's, like most HVAC companies, recommends annual AC servicing.
Just a yearly checkup.
Yeah. During that checkup, a technician cleans coils, checks components, filters, and yes, they can check the refrigerant levels and pressures. It helps keep the system running efficiently, and they might catch a very slow leak early, one that developed from just normal wear and tear over time, as Bonnie Plumbing suggests might happen. Regular maintenance really can help extend the system's life.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's just quickly recap the main points here. Refrigerant is absolutely vital for cooling.
Yeah.
If your system needs more, especially if you're a new customer for a company like Hartzell's, a leak is a strong possibility.
Right. Suspect a leak first.
Watch out for signs like poor cooling, constant running, weird humidity, high bills, maybe even ice.
Yep, those are the clues.
And remember, Hartzell's guideline for new folks. 1 to 3 pounds low needs looking into, but 3 pounds or more. That strongly points towards needing a proper leak test.
Good rule of thumb.
And fixing leaks is important for comfort, efficiency, your system's lifespan, and the environment. And it's definitely a job for trained professionals.
Couldn't have said it better. Expertise is crucial here.
So here's a final thought for you listening. How old is your air conditioner? Have you noticed any of those warning signs we talked about? Maybe it's not quite keeping up like it used to. Knowing your system's history, particularly about refrigerant and being proactive, well, it could save you a lot of sweat and maybe some serious cash down the road. If things just don't feel right with your cooling, getting a professional like Hartzell's to check those refrigerant levels might be the smartest next move.